Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the village. Uh, I'm so glad you're back again here, and for some of you, this may be your first time. As I've said in all of my videos, as you watch this video, I hope at the end of the video it'll be worth your time. And if you find it worthy of your time, I hope you subscribe. But even if you don't subscribe today, I am really thankful that you're going to spend a few minutes with us. Now, yesterday there was a lot of conversations about construction, things that I've learned that I could share as a diaspora who is returning back to the village. Now, there are so many questions that were posted that I cannot answer in a single video, and thankfully, we have eternity to answer them. So today, I'm going to specifically focus on our kitchen. I'm going to talk about our experience putting together this kitchen, mostly remotely, because when the kitchen was built, we were in America, and 99% of the works were done through our family. So I'm going to share some of the lessons I've learned, what I've seen with our friends, and I'll talk about some considerations you want to keep in mind as you're thinking about building a functional kitchen in the village. I will also share with you actual costs and eventually give you a few plugs in some cost cutting strategies that we use to make this project affordable. So at the end of the video, you will walk away with details as to how we did it and how much it actually cost us and all the details about this. So as I typically do with all my videos too, I share a few caveats. The first is that this kitchen is approximately 2 years old. Now, some of the figures I'm going to share may not match inflation figures right now. And you will see in the next couple of minutes, it's not entirely complete. In fact, right now, as you'll see me walking into the kitchen, there are people working and doing some, not gypsum, but wainscoting work within the kitchen and in the house. So it's not completely done. Also, the cost I'm going to share or talk about does not include furniture, gypsum work, and electrical works. So just keep in mind that whatever figure I'm going to share with you at the end is not entirely complete, but this is the best estimation given what we spent. So let's begin by talking about the context. Some of the things that you want to be thinking about, especially if you're building in the village as a person moving back. Because I know there's some things that are very unique to the village setting that may or may not apply to folks who are building in the city. So the first thing to keep in mind in terms of context is that in the village, folks have the option of building two types of kitchen. You have the kitchen that is in the main house, and also you have a kitchen that is detached, that is often outside of the main house. In the city, those options may not be available. And how you determine which one best suits your needs first is based on the source of fuel you're going to use. Because if you're using something such as wood, it may not be functional to use wood in an in-house kitchen. And then the function of the kitchen also matters. Outdoor kitchens typically have multiple functions, which I'll talk about later on, and then the availability of space. In the village, there's often more space to build both the attached kitchen and the detached kitchen. The second consideration as you're thinking about or as you're planning to build your village kitchen is about some of the cultural nuances that influence what happens in the kitchen. For example, in the village, it's typical that in the majority of cases, it's women who do the cooking or operate in the kitchen. And so what typically happens is that women tend to have a bigger say as to what's going to go into the kitchen. Now, excuse me. In the city, that may or may not really play a role. Now, I've also seen folks who have a bigger concern about privacy when it comes to the kitchen. And so what that means is that those specific individuals may not care for open plan kitchen that is more common in the city. And then in the village too, guests are often kept away from the kitchen, especially male guests. That factor may not matter in a city. Now, there's also a specific group of folks we call Yowuru. I'm not sure I know how to translate that specifically in English, but this group of folks, Yes, this group of folks typically prefer privacy, as I've said earlier. Now, again, besides the indoor and outdoor kitchen, in the village, you have the option of setting up an ultra modern kitchen, at least within the Kenyan context, which is what I'm going to show you today. Or you have the option of setting up what we would call in French improved kienyeji or jokon. So those two are often very different. So let me walk you through what an improved kienyeji kitchen would look like. Typically, these kitchens are often closed off. They may or may not have what we call otuchi, which is some kind of a hole for passing food. They have tiles of all sorts of colors. Typically, the lower cabinetry is made of the same material as the walls, and they're often tiled. And the top cabinetry is often relatively dated. Within this kitchen, you'll find old cupboard utensils, relics from the past, and the appliances are generally detached from the wall. Now, these kitchens often have multi-purposes. Inside them, you'll find animals, you'll find it can be used for cooking, people can use them as bedrooms, so it's a kitchen / many things. And two, this improved kienyeji kitchen have what I would call kienyeji plumbing. So the faucets or the taps are often very dated. You'll find water containers within the kitchen. And in terms of the source of fuel, this kitchen allows for the use of multiple sources of fuel, including kerosene, old newspapers, wood, charcoal, and all kinds of ways of heating within the kitchen. And then when it comes to maintenance, many of us argue that improved kienyeji kitchen often allows for maintenance to be approached as something optional. And that often means that sometimes when things break, it might take a while before we get to them. So that is one option that is very common within the village. The second option, which is what I'm showing you in this video, is what we are going to describe as ultra modern kitchen within the Kenyan context. And so this particular kitchen has the following features. One, it has generally they're typically open or semi-open, has very modern appliances that are attached to the wall. In terms of fuel source, we typically use gas or electric fuel. And then many of them have islands. They don't have to, but many of them do, with sitting areas within the kitchen. Now, these kitchens also have modern cabinetry, gypsum ceilings with lights. They typically come with extractors or what some people call hood. And the trash is often hidden, modern hidden trash containment area. So this is exactly what I'm going to show you in this particular video. And as you can see, as I'll walk around the kitchen, you'll notice some of these features. To put it together, here are some of the things that went into it. The first is that we made sure that it was completely open. Some people like that, some people like semi-open, and there are many options out there. And then we set up an island with a white granite top. And if you're interested in this, you'd look for a white Galaxy granite. And then along the walls, we have black Galaxy granite. The same type of granite, just different colors. And then it has a very specific backlash that we had to order from Nairobi. And then for the woodworks, we primarily used MDF to build in. However, for the island specifically, or areas with water, we used marine boards inside of them. And that is often more durable than MDF. And then as you notice along the wall, we included all modern appliances that we bought as a package. So that package included an extractor, a microwave oven, and a regular oven, all sold as a single package. And then, of course, if you look at up the ceiling, we have gypsum ceiling with lightings of all kinds. And then the sink itself, of course, is a very modern sink with a modern faucet. And then right next to it on my left is the pantry, which is kind of open. But later on, we might end up installing a door to it. But though that is not necessarily a critical feature. So these are some of the basic things that went into putting together this particular kitchen that you're looking at. So if you were to ask me how much did the basic kitchen cost. We spent about 480,000 Kenya shillings, which today translates to about $3,600. Now, this was sort of like in the mid-range of what I've seen out there. I remember when we asked for quotes, we got quite a variety of quotes. And so I'm going to talk about that under the cost management strategy. So for number one, we made sure we got multiple quotes. And you'd be surprised how wildly the cost range. The first guy actually quoted about 270,000 Kenya shillings, which is about $2,000. And then the highest quote was a little over 2 million shillings, which is about 15,000. So you can imagine a range of between $2,000 and $15,000, which is really wild. So what turned out was that the guy who was asking for the 270, in his mind was about to deliver what I described earlier as kienyeji kitchen. And so that really was not what we desired. And then the folks who were asking 2 million plus, of course, had other ideas. I don't know exactly what they were going to deliver. But what I've also learned is that sometimes the quote you're going to get for the kitchen may not necessarily be a function of the size of the kitchen. It may be more about what they know about you and what they know about your site. For example, when I'm getting quotes from contractors using my Kenyan number, I often get a far lower quote. But when I accidentally use my US number, they almost always charge me higher. So when they know something about you, then the price might change. The second thing that often changes the cost of the quotes you're going to get is about when the folks do site visits. Sometimes you can get all the measurements, send it to them, you get a decent quote. But the moment they hit the ground and see the structure they're going to work in, that is where things change. So unfortunately, sometimes they are going to adjust prices based on what they see on the ground. In fact, I even had a contractor who insisted that for him to give me a quote, I had to pay for his air ticket and two other folks to fly from Nairobi to Kisumu and then facilitate their movement from Kisumu to my site. And on top of that, they were asking me to pay about 30,000 Kenya shillings. And all of that was just specifically about getting a quote. So those are the high-end folks. I'm not saying they're bad. I have not worked with high-end folks, but that is what might happen on the high end. So the second cost-cutting measure, besides getting multiple quotes, is about making sure that you don't go with the lowest guy, because the lowest guy often delivers something that is lower quality. So also do your homework and don't use a single contractor. You can do that, but when we separated all these different items, it became far cheaper. And then we sourced all the materials by ourselves. All the woodwork came from PG Bison in Nairobi, and then the refrigerator was bought separately. So those are some of the things we did to manage this. I hope this video was worth your time and you learned something. Please subscribe if that is true. Thank you.